Good morning, restaurant owners. Welcome back to our weekly Facebook Live financial training for independent restaurant owners. My name is Tim Cernett. I'm a CPA. I'm the founder of Financial Optics, where we help restaurants improve profits and cash flow. Now, I want to ask you something before we get started today. If your best line cook told you they had an offer for $1 an hour more at the restaurant around the corner, what would you do? Would you match it? Could you afford to? And would you even know right now whether you could? This week's topic is team compensation strategies that protect your profits. Labor is the single biggest cost in your restaurant, and it's also the most personal. Now, let me share my screen to get started with this week's presentation. This is always a little cumbersome here while I'm trying to get going. And hopefully you can see that. Again, team compensation strategies that protect your profits. So this isn't just a management question, it's a financial systems question. If you don't have clean, timely labor cost data, if your numbers are a month behind or your categories aren't clean, you're making compensation decisions without the information you need to make them well. Today, we want to give you the framework, and at the end, we'll talk about the clear data foundation that makes it all actually work. So the instinct is to watch labor costs, and that's right. But the problem is that most owners are watching them reactively at the end of the week, at the end of the month, instead of building a pay structure that's intentional from the start. So in the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to walk you through the three compensation levers: base pay structure, performance-based incentives, and long-term retention tools. They show you how to, and then show you how to put them together in a way that protects your margins and keeps your best people from walking out the door. So why most restaurants' pay structures don't work, the compensation challenge is independently owned restaurants isn't that the owners don't care about their people, you care deeply. The problem is that most pay structures grow organically. A raise here, a bonus there, a counter offer when someone's about to leave. And over time, that becomes patchwork that isn't intentional, it isn't equitable amongst your team, and it isn't sustainable. So the four pitfalls are the market trap, paying the market rate. We just gave you the example of your head line cook or your lead line cook getting an offer for $1 an hour more. And if you don't match it, that turns into a much bigger problem with rehiring, training, lost production, quality isn't quite as good. And sometimes your best customers notice and they're not happy with what's going on in the restaurant. So paying the market rate without a structure means you're always reacting to what the competitors are doing with no system for growth or loyalty built into it. The meaningless bonus problem. The holiday bonus or an annual bump tied to tenure isn't a compensation strategy, that's a tradition. And your team starts to expect it and they get offended if you don't do it. And if it doesn't change behavior, it's just a cost, a recurring cost. The reactive scheduling spiral. Labor creep almost always starts with scheduling, not with pay rates. Unmanaged overtime is often the biggest culprit. And then the missing data problem. You can't manage compensation intelligently if your labor cost numbers are stale, miscategorized, or unreliable. And this is more common than people admit. So, in a full service independent restaurant, labor should land somewhere between 26 and 32% of sales. And when we see it creeping up to 35 to 40%, it's rarely one big problem. It's a dozen small decisions made without a system. So let's build the system. The foundational pay structure. The goal isn't base pay. The goal of base pay isn't just to hire people or just to get a yes to your employment offers. It's to create stability, clarity, so you know your teams know what to expect and more importantly, what they're working towards. Step one is the benchmark by role, not just by feeling. Research the local market wages for each position, the line cook, dishwasher, server, so forth and so on. You need to know what the market looks like, but don't just match it. That's the minimum. And if you want a team of A players, you have to start on the high end of the market pay rate. And then the goal is to build a structure that lets people grow and starts to filter out those C, D, and F players on your team. Number two is creating pay tiers that reward time and skills. The simplest version looks like this. A dishwasher starts at $15 an hour, $16.50 after 6 months of solid, consistent attendance. What's the old saying? Attendance is 90% of the job. So then your line cook starts at $18 an hour, but moves to $20 an hour when they're cross-trained on 3 different stations. Or a server, the base wage plus clear expectations for pooled tips, and then any upselling incentives. So the point isn't specific numbers that I just gave you. Those will be different in every market. The point is that there's a path that exists, it's written down, and everybody can visualize it and knows it. The third step is implementing pay ladders. A pay ladder is just a visible path towards advancement. It doesn't have to be elaborate, it has to be clear. Tenure-based, 6 months, 1 year, and these are the least powerful. Tenure-based. Skill-based, promotion-based on mastering specific tasks at the different positions. And then management tiers. Assistant manager for back of house, front of house, manager for back of house, front of house, shift manager, general manager. Different management tiers receive different pay tiers, and they step up the ladder based on their skill set and their advancement. So does your team know exactly what they need to do to earn a raise? Or is it based on gut feelings? If it's gut feelings, that's not a compensation strategy. That's a source of resentment and can be amongst your team. So incentive-based pays. Base pay gets people in the door, incentives gets people engaged, but here's the rule. If you can't measure it, don't pay for it. Vague incentive programs create more confusion and resentment than they prevent. So some incentive buckets that actually work, performance-driven. Front of house server earns $50 bonus for maintaining a 4.5 plus Google review average over the month. Ties behavior directly to the outcome you can track. Cost-driven. Back of house team earns a $200 bonus if food waste comes in below target for the week. Now everyone has a reason to manage food waste and care about the walk-in cooler and care about food management. Service-based, a $20 smooth service bonus for a shift with no comps, no late tickets, no complaints. Fast feedback, a small reward, but real behavior change. Micro incentives, push a featured menu item in a contest. The winner wins a gift card or a top seller bonus. It's a simple, trackable, and it keeps things interesting. The keys to making incentives work, simple and trackable. If the manager can't pull the number off the point of sale system or a waste log, don't use it. Pay it quickly. Delayed rewards change behavior. Don't change behavior. If the incentive for this week's performance, it should show up in this week's pay. And then go team-based where possible. Keep it team-based where possible. Incentives that create internal competition amongst staff usually create more problems. Shared wins build culture. What's one area in a restaurant where you could improve fast if your team is financially rewarded? Drop it in the comments below and we'll we'll keep track of those. Slide number 7, long-term retention strategies. Keeping your best people. Turnover is very expensive for restaurants, not in a vague way, in a real calculable way. Recruiting, interviewing, onboarding, training, and weeks of reduced productivity while someone gets up to speed. For a sous chef or for an assistant general manager, you're looking at months of disruption and are often $8,000 to $15,000 or more in real cost. Retention isn't a soft goal, it's a financial strategy. So what are the types of retention compensation strategies? A stay bonus. And these are usually the least powerful. A $500 bonus at 6 months or 12 months for key roles. Your sous chef, your assistant general manager, the line cook, not for every role and not indefinitely, but the first year where you lose the most people, so that's where the incentive belongs, in that first 6 months or 1 year. Leadership tracks. Create lead roles, lead line, lead server, with a small pay bump and added responsibility. This isn't just a raise, it's a path, and it gives ambitious people a reason to stay and grow inside your restaurant instead of leaving to find growth somewhere else. Non-monetary perks. Paid birthday off, small milestone gifts at 1 year, 2 years, flexible scheduling for long tenured staff. That sometimes is a very desirable perk. Health insurance contributions after 12 months if you have a health insurance plan. These cost less than you think and mean more than you would expect. Now, this is an advanced option for advanced restaurant owners, and that's a profit sharing structure. It's something like this. The team earns a percentage of profits above a defined threshold. So if your threshold is a 10% operating margin and they come in at 13%, they get a 10% bonus of that additional 3% operating margin, whatever the dollars are. Now everyone has a reason to care about waste. They have a reason to care about cost controls. They have a reason to care about smooth operations. The numbers become everyone's numbers. So if you do a profit sharing, be transparent, show the numbers. If people don't understand how the bonus is calculated, they'll assume they're being shortchanged. That might be somewhat cynical, but I've seen it happen often. So compensation without clean data is guesswork. Here's what I want to leave you with before we close. Everything I've just described, the pay tiers, the incentives, the bonuses, the profit sharing, all of it depends on one thing. You have to be able to see your labor costs clearly and on time. Real time, if your labor cost numbers are weeks behind, your point of sale isn't talking to your accounting system, if your categories are inconsistent or your reports are unreliable, you cannot run an intentional compensation strategy. You're guessing, and when you're guessing on labor, you're guessing on margins. 3 things that your financial system needs to support a smart compensation plan. Real-time or near real-time labor cost visibility by department and by position, not just a monthly P&L line item. Clean categorization of wages, benefits, and overtime, so you can see what's actually driving the numbers. And a reliable reporting rhythm so you know where you stand before the end of the month or even before the end of the week, not after. So I want to bring this up now. Next week, we're talking about AI in restaurants. What's real, what's hype, and what requires clean financial data to actually work. And this is the through line. Everything in operations, everything in compensation, everything in AI-enabled decision-making comes back to whether your financial systems are giving you accurate, timely information. That's the foundation we've been building on for 11 weeks now. Where to start Monday morning. Don't try and rebuild your entire compensation structure at once. Here's maybe how you might sequence it. Analyze your current labor cost data. Before you design anything, you need to know whether you can trust what you're looking at. Pull the last 90 days of labor cost by department. If the numbers don't feel right, that's insight. Work with your accountant so you can see exactly what's going on by team and or by position. Design your pay tiers for the 2 or 3 roles where you have the most turnover. What position is causing you the most pain? Start with your biggest problem, not the whole org chart. Write it down and make it real. Pick one incentive, just one, tie it to something measurable from your point of sale system or your waste log. Run it for 30 days to see what happens. Talk to your team and document it. Compensation isn't just about money, it's about alignment. So you need to talk to your team and communicate with your team. What is the path? What is the goal? And when your pay structure rewards the right behavior, everybody wins, you, your team, and your bottom line. So your next steps. If today's training raised any questions about whether your labor cost visibility is actually something you can act on, whether your numbers are clean enough, timely enough, and organized well enough to run your real compensation strategy, that's exactly what the Restaurant Financial Scorecard is designed to help you think through. It's 18 questions across 5 categories. It takes about 10 minutes, and it will tell you where your financial systems are solid and where the gaps are. I'll leave a link in the comments below to download your scorecard. So if this was useful, follow our page. I do this every week. There's been 11 weeks. This is the 11th week of practical financial training. Next week is the 12th week. And then we'll sort of run the cycle and update for any changes that have happened over the last 3 months. So next week, we're going to be closing out the cycle with AI in restaurants, what's real, what's hype, and what's actually requires clean financial data to work. If you've been wondering whether AI is going to change how you run your restaurant, the answer is probably yes, it will, but probably not in the way you might be thinking. So tune in next Wednesday. Thanks for joining us this week. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Wednesday.